In the heart of a small, quiet village, a girl named Miriam inherited an old house from her grandfather. It stood alone, right at the edge of the forest, a place no one in the village dared to pass after sunset. They said the woods held secrets, and the house was its gatekeeper. One moonless night, Miriam was curled up with a book, the dim light of her lamp casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. Suddenly, a soft knock echoed through the silence. Tap, tap, tap. She glanced at the old grandfather clock in the corner. It was 2 o'clock a.m. A knot of fear tightened in her stomach. Who could possibly be out at this hour? Her voice trembling, she called out, "Who's there?" The only reply was the mournful sigh of the wind. She waited, heart pounding in her chest. Then, the knock came again, louder this time, more insistent. It felt like it was coming from inside the door itself. Taking a shaky breath, she crept towards the entrance, her hand hesitating over the doorknob before she slowly, cautiously pulled it open. There was no one there. Just a swirling gust of cold wind that snaked around her ankles and an empty, dark porch. But as she was about to close the door, her eyes caught something on the doorstep. A small piece of paper, folded neatly. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up. And folding it, she saw a few words scrawled in a frantic, spidery script. It read, "Close the windows. They're already inside." A wave of pure terror washed over her. Her blood ran cold. She slammed the door shut and fumbled with the lock. Her mind raced. Who were they? How did they get in? She frantically rushed from room to room, slamming every window shut, her breath coming in short, panicked gasps. The old house seemed to groan around her, the wind outside howling like a tormented spirit. She reached the last window, the one in her small upstairs bedroom. As she reached for the latch, her own reflection stared back at her from the dark glass. But behind her, superimposed over her own image, was another face. It was pale, ghostly, and where its eyes should have been, there were only dark, empty sockets. A scream tore from her throat. She spun around, her back hitting the cold wall, but the room was empty. There was nothing there. Was she losing her mind? Was the old house playing tricks on her? Not taking any chances, she dove under her thick blanket, pulling it over her head as if it were a shield. She lay there shivering, listening to the frantic beat of her own heart. Then, she heard it, slow, heavy footsteps. Creaking on the old wooden stairs, thump, 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 each one closer than the last. They climbed methodically, deliberately, until they stopped right outside her bedroom door. The silence that followed was even more terrifying. And then, a whisper, so close it felt like it was brushed against her ear, slithered through the air. "You're too late, Miriam. They came last night." The next morning, the sun rose over a silent, empty house. The front door was ajar, swinging gently in the breeze. The lamp inside was still burning, casting a weak, lonely glow, but Miriam was gone, vanished without a trace. All that remained was a single note left on her pillow, the words written in a shaky, terrified hand, "Close the windows. They're at your house now." The disappearance baffled the local authorities. Days later, a young, determined officer named Yusuf was sent from the city to investigate. He was a man of logic, of facts. He didn't believe in ghost stories or local superstitions. As he stepped into the house, he found no signs of a break-in, no evidence of a struggle. Just that one eerie, cryptic message. Yet, he couldn't deny the feeling inside the house. The air was wrong. It felt thick, heavy, and alive. It felt like he was being watched. Determined to solve the mystery, Yusuf decided to spend the night in the house, to see for himself if there was any truth to the whispers. He set himself up in the living room, his service weapon on the table beside him. As the clock struck midnight, the house fell into a profound and natural silence. And then, he heard it. The same distinct footsteps echoing from the second floor. Flashlight in hand, Yusuf climbed the stairs, his skepticism warring with a primal fear. With every step he took, the air grew colder, heavier, pressing in on him. He reached Maryam's bedroom and pushed the door open. The room was empty, coated in a thick layer of dust except for a large, ornate mirror on the far wall, covered by an old, tattered cloth. Drawn by an unexplainable urge, he walked towards it. He reached out and pulled the cloth away. In that exact moment, his powerful flashlight flickered and died, plunging him into near total darkness. But the mirror's surface wasn't dark. It began to glow with a faint, sickly light. From its depths, a face emerged. It was Maryam, pale, lifeless, her eyes to black, endless voids. Her voice echoed from the glass, a sound that seemed to crawl up from deep within the earth. They came through the mirror. Yusuf, don't look too long. As she spoke, the glass began to ripple like water. From the shimmering surface, dark, twisted hands with long, sharp fingers began to emerge, clawing their way out of the reflection and into the room. Pure adrenaline surged through him. He turned and ran for the door, but it slammed shut with a deafening crack, sealed by an unseen force. Whispers erupted from all around him, a chorus of ghostly voices swirling in the air. We have entered, and now you belong to us. The following morning, the villagers found the house empty once again. Yusuf was gone. But on the wall of Maryam's room, a new message had appeared, written in a dark, tar-like substance. Do not look into mirrors after midnight, for what you see is not your reflection, it's their doorway. Since that day, the house at the edge of the forest has remained abandoned. But villagers say that if you are brave enough to look up at its dark windows on a moonless night, you might just see two faces staring back out at you. Maryam's, and a man in an officer's uniform, forever trapped inside. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more chilling tales. Let me know in the comments what you think happened to Maryam and Yusuf. Stay safe, and whatever you do, be careful what you see in the mirror.